Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sid Meier's Civilization 6. This is going to be part 2 of my Australia guide. If you didn't see part 1, it's important that you watch that first, because that's when I talk about the Civ as a whole. I go over the bonuses, how I think they're best used, why I think the Civ is really, really strong. And from now on here, I'm going to be talking about the specific game that I'm playing, which is on a continents map. And I showed the capital off in the first video here, and I'm going to be talking about how I've been using Australia and what sort of benefits I've been getting from them so far, and a little bit about this game in general. I'll talk about some non-Australia things at the end, most notably Petra, and what I'm doing with my military, and another little side note on builders. But anyway, let's talk about Australia, right? Because that's the point of this guide. So let's do a little check-in here, right? I'm at turn 84. I'm sorry, I'm turn 87, which is 84 turns after the first video, and that's quite a few turns. And the reason I haven't done a check-in until now is because I haven't done a whole lot of Australia-specific things. Excuse me. And what I mean is I haven't gotten a ton of things yet, very important keyword, that are unique to Australia. But I'll talk about what I have gotten so far. Here, turn 87, I'm in the medieval era. And basically, 90% of what I've gotten so far is appeal bonuses, right? That's Australia's first ability, or not necessarily first, but one of their primary abilities, right? So let's go ahead and turn on appeal. So I've got, like a campus. This campus is breathtaking, right? This commercial hub. So I've been taking advantage of some of those bonuses. So let's count them up, right? Turn 87. What have I got as Australia? So I've got +1 science up here, +1 science here, and +3 science here. So that's +5 science that I'm only getting as Australia, and I'm getting +3 gold here, and +3 gold here. So that's 6 gold I'm getting only as Australia. And I'm also I'll count this because I'm finishing a theater square here, and it's getting +1 from the appeal right there, at least for now. But anyway, I'll be getting +1 culture shortly there. And so yeah, so I'm getting +6 science. I'm sorry, +5 science and +6 gold that I wouldn't be getting otherwise, and +1 culture. And I'm also getting +3 housing from this being a coastal city. And it's actually a freshwater coastal city, which is pretty awesome. So quite a bit of housing there. And the last thing I've gotten so far that is unique to Australia is I've had 1 culture bomb here. 1 culture bomb, which was I improved this pasture, and it got me this hill, this forest, and this grassland tile. So nothing incredible. The mine is nice. I was able to improve that quickly, take advantage of it. I got a better spot for my theater square, so that's pretty cool. The main advantage actually of culture bombs is 2 things. It's mainly, first of all, stealing territory, which I didn't do, so this isn't really a big deal here. The other thing that's cool about it is the extra tiles you get don't count as natural growth. And what I mean by that is the culture cost of naturally acquiring new tiles goes up for each tile you've already acquired. But that is not relevant to the number of tiles that you have. So let's say it's taking like 30 culture to get my next tile, right? If I get a culture bomb, it's still going to take 30 culture for me to get my next tile, and then 30 or then 40 after that, or however it works. I can't remember honestly. But hopefully you see my point being it's kind of like free extra tiles, and you're still getting your natural improvement. You're still getting your natural growth. So you're literally just getting extra. It's not just speeding up your natural growth. It's literally giving you extra tiles. So that's pretty cool. But still, just to recap, right? I'm getting +5 or 6 progression meaning science culture, and +6 gold, +3 housing, and a little bit of extra tiles here. So far, that's nice. But that's pretty mediocre, right? Turn 87 so far as Australia, my bonuses have been mediocre. But that's okay. That's okay. Because here's the thing about Australia, is they don't really come online until the mid game, right? And two big things are about to happen in this game. First of all, being I'm about to hit Outback Stations, right? So Outback Stations don't come until late medieval era, which is guilds, and that's going to be a massive power spike for Australia that lasts the entire rest of the game. The reason being, as I discussed in the first part, Outback Stations are just way better farms. They just do the same thing as farms, but they're way better because they give you production. And so that's that, really. You're going to have this big production bonus that other civs don't have. The other thing is, eventually I'll get my Digger, right? That doesn't come until Modern Era, right? Digger, my unique infantry. That's nothing amazing, but it's good, and that will come later, right? That will help me with any sort of military engagement I'm engaged in then. But the last thing, and the most important thing, is, as you can see, I have this army here in position to attack the Aztecs, who is currently in the lead. But now is the time to strike. Hopefully, I'm planning on taking some cities, really taking them down a notch because they're currently way ahead. But here's the thing. So I put a marker on this city here, and I put a marker on this city there. And the reason I did that is maybe you figured it out already, is Toronto is not an Aztec name of a city. This is a city-state. Nidaros is the capital of Norway. And, Skedsmo, I actually overlooked this one. Skedsmo is also Skedsmo is also a Norwegian city, right? So look at this. 3 cities right next to my borders, right next to my army, are ripe for liberation. And as we know, as I said earlier, the most powerful thing Australia has is Citadel of Civilization. So if I liberate a city, I will get double production in my entire empire for 20 turns, which is insane. And here's the thing. If I conquer Toronto, or I liberate Toronto, I'll have 20 production, double production for 20 turns. Let's say I spend 20 turns and I kill, I don't know, let's say I go kill Taco Pan, or whatever. I kill this, right? Maybe that should take only 10 turns or less. I kill Tlacopan. And then what? I have 10 more turns. Then I go kill Nidaros. Right? So you're seeing a pattern here. 20 turns of double production. 20 turns later, I liberate Nidaros. 20 turns after that, I can liberate Skedsmo, or however I want to play it, right? So potentially, I am about to chain 60 turns of double production empire-wide. And if I pull that off, or that's even just the max potential, let's say I don't do that perfectly, that's okay. That is 60 turns of my entire empire doubling everything it does. That is essentially, you have twice as much civ as every other civ. And so when you put it that way, this is when Australia really starts to kick into high gear. When you start liberating cities, is that's when you become insane. That's when you become super scary. Yeah, the appeal bonuses, the housing, that's all just icing, right? Or like even without that ability, they're solid, right? Once I get my Outback Stations going and I get more cities with more bonuses, that's going to be super powerful, right? But what you're hopefully about to see is where Australia really goes crazy, right? If I can start liberating cities, I just become the most powerful thing in the game, by far. But yeah, so stay tuned for that, right? In terms of other Australia-related things right now, I had a small misplay here. Perth, you see, is a fine city. Normally, you don't want to really just like plop down a flat grassland city with no water, but I made up for it by putting an aqueduct here, which gives the city fresh water. The thing that I should have done here was actually I should have put Perth 1 tile more to the northwest, right here. The reason being, I didn't notice initially, but there's actually a pasture available, free pasture, a neutral tile available 3 tiles away from where that city would be. So I could have purchased the pasture, and then I could have culture bombed, so I could have taken this hill and these 2 tiles away from Montezuma. Culture bombs, is important to note, don't take tiles. They don't take tiles more than 3 away from your city. But it would take, in this case, it would have taken some nice tiles away from Montezuma. So that was a slight misplay with Perth here. Another slight misplay, which is relevant specifically to Petra, is that outback stations can be built on desert. So Australia has the unique ability to take advantage of flat desert the way other civs don't. And which means they have the ability to take extra advantage of Petra, right? Because a Petra turns a 0-0 tile into a 2-1-2 tile. 2 food, 1 production, 2 gold. Which alone actually still isn't amazing. Like a normal hill is still better than a flat Petra desert tile. But as Australia, I can put an outback station there. So that's actually an awesome tile. And what I did wrong here was I just fell back into a habit, which is actually a good habit, which is putting districts on flat desert. Because normally flat desert is a dead tile, so it's the perfect place to put a district, because you're not going to work it anyway. But actually, as Australia, and with Petra, what I should have done is I should have put outback stations on these 2 tiles instead of districts, because that would have given me the Petra flat tile with a good improvement on top. So that would have been really nice to work those. So that was definitely a mistake here. One small caveat though is one reason I placed these here was that they both are breathtaking tiles. So I'm getting plus 2 to 3 gold and plus 2 to 3 science that I wouldn't be getting otherwise if I didn't put my districts there. But still, it would have been better to put outback stations there. So that was a slight misplay. But yeah, that about does it for Australia specific things I wanted to talk about. One thing, I'm not sure if I mentioned this. Well, maybe I did mention this. I was going to talk about culture bombing, but no, I definitely touched on it. It doesn't take tiles beyond 3 in your empire. So what it's best for is like settling up close to somebody and taking their terrain, right? Which is something you can do as Poland or Khmer as well. So that's just a little tip in general for culture bombing. Anyway, I had something else here written down. Yeah, I'll just recap one more time. So I'm getting some modest, at this point in the game, right? My bonuses aren't better than other civs. In fact, they're probably between average and bad. Like they're pretty mediocre. I'm getting a few extra yields from my districts. I'm getting a little bit of extra housing, and I got a little bit of free tiles. That's fine. But you know, other civs at this point, like Chin, probably got some extra wonders. Aztecs get some extra combat strength, some extra districts, and yeah, some free builders, etc. But you know, at this point, my civ is mediocre. But as I said earlier, I'm about to kick it into high gear. So that's hopefully when you'll see really Australia shine, right? Assuming this all goes to plan, which I think it will. But yeah, so that's it for Australia. So if you're just here for the Australia guide part, that you're good. I will touch on a few things that are specific to this game that aren't specific to Australia, right? And the first thing is a little builder trick, which I've described before, but it's really important for anyone who doesn't know this. So Ilkum, plus 30% production towards builders. Feudalism, serfdom. New builders get 2 extra actions, right? The thing is, feudalism makes Ilkum, the first one, obsolete. So you lose the production bonus when you unlock the charge bonus. But what you can do is right before you tech feudalism, you insert Ilkum, you use Ilkum, so you get this production bonus. You queue up builders in all your cities, so that way you're getting a big production bonus. 30% is huge. Production bonus towards your builders. And then right before they finish, so there's 1 turn left, then you swap in serfdom. So then you're taking advantage of the boost to build them, and you're getting extra charges. So then you're doing really, really well there. So that it's kind of that's kind of nice. It's something to think about when you're timing your expansion. You don't want to be building settlers right before feudalism, so that you can take advantage of this. Because ideally, what I'm about to do is I'm about to get something like, I'm about to get 20 builder charges, right? Which is a ton. So that should be all I need to finish improving Canberra, to finish improving Sydney, to improve all these other cities and have some extra charges ready so that I can expand again or I can conquer a city or something, right? The idea is to do most of my builder building now. So, because after this point, I'll have to wait all the way until civil engineering, which is when you get public works, which is a big builder boost and extra build actions combined, which is pretty cool. But at this point, you're pretty set on what cities you have most of the time. So yeah, that's just a little trick that's really cool to use. Another little tip is, let's say I already have serfdom and I want to get more builders later. What you should do in that case is you just buy them. Just put serfdom in, and then, I mean, you can still build them if you want, right? But you can just buy them, right? Because you don't need, there's no production boost anyway, so you just put in serfdom and you buy builders. Let's say you found a new city far away and you want to improve its tiles, just put serfdom in and buy a builder, and then you're set. Anyway, that's enough of the builders, right? The two other things I want to talk about were first, Petra. This is a pretty good Petra game because it showed off like the right way to go for it, which is it's really good to get. It's important to go for Petra in your second city. The reason being, you don't want to found your first city in the middle of the desert, right? That's kind of bad. That's a massive. First of all, if you don't get Petra, like the game is just over. Second of all, you're still like overall gimping your, like, let's say this was my first city, and this is all like desert and floodplains, right? This city would be atrocious, like atrocious, all the way until I got Petra, assuming I even survived that long, right? So this is a good example. My second city, I plopped it down, I expanded quickly, and what I did was, first of all, you purchase, you don't want to put it in the middle of only desert, because then, the thing is, right, yes, the more desert the better, but you need to be able to build the thing, so you don't want only desert tiles. I got a few floodplains for food, and I made sure it was still within range of a few good mines and stuff, so that way I actually had a pretty strong, modest-sized city with good mines and good farms that could build the Petra, and therefore upgrade all the other desert that I had. And so you want to rapidly expand into a good Petra spot. You want to feed it a trader, so you build a trader in your capital. You basically use your capital to feed your new city to make it powerful enough to build Petra, right? So you give it a trader, you give it builders, you improve the terrain, you grow it as much as you can, and then you rush this tech. You really should rush, well, way back there, mathematics. Don't bother going for the boost for mathematics. I mean, if you can pull it off, then go ahead. But I find I don't have time. You really just want to get here as fast as possible. And it's kind of hard to build 3 districts before you need to start building Petra. But even it's up to you. Because I find Petra is doable if you do it this way. If you put it in your second city, it's fairly consistently doable. Whereas if you don't put it in your second city, if you wait longer, then the AI will take it. Because the AI will throw it on literally any desert tile they have, like this one or whatever. But because they're stupid that way, like they'll just waste it. And which is really annoying, but it is what it is. So one other thing to keep in mind is Petra is really obvious from the sky, right? Like so is Chichen Itza. Like that really sticks out in your. But Petra is probably the most. Looks like Patala there, so I won't go for that one. Wonder spotting is really important. This is another reason scouting is really, really important in Civ. Back, you need to go over there, buddy. Because it lets you, let's say I'm about to try to build a wonder, and I know that like Aztec is way ahead, and I see them building Patala Palace. Oh, why bother, right? I'm not going to bother wasting my time with that. But anyway, yeah, so Petra, go for it in your second city. Make sure it's kind of a not 100% desert city, and then use your first city to feed it. So that's what I did here. And I ended up getting some pretty sweet, a pretty sweet Petra city. Ended up with 4 desert hills and a few more flat tiles, which I kind of regret not building up stations on. But that's just something it's just a mistake I need to learn from in the future. This campus is also a hill. That was a bit of a waste. I put it there. It's actually Canberra's campus, and I put it there because it was getting +5. I was getting, sorry, +3 from appeal and +2 from the science, so it was getting +5 as Australia. And so I built that very early on before I decided to go for Petra. But I really should have thought ahead and decided on Petra earlier and saved this hill. Because a Petra desert hill is a magical thing, right? 2 food, 2 gold, 4 production. With apprenticeship. Like, that's just, I could put my campus elsewhere and that would be totally fine, right? Yeah, anyway, that's enough on Petra. I might do a guide on Petra at some other point, but not right now. That's not the point of this video. The last thing I wanted to discuss, again, not specifically Australia related, is you might notice that I'm in the medieval era, and I have an army of archers and heavy chariots. You might be wondering, like, what are you going to war with ancient era units? When you're in the medieval era, that's just stupid, right? Well, the thing is, I'm about to upgrade these. I'm stockpiling gold, and I'm actually working on, I'm about to upgrade them all into knights and crossbowmen, which are relevant units. And the reason I do it this way, there's 3 reasons. The first one is that the overall cost of building a unit and upgrading it is less than just building the upgraded unit. So what I mean is the production cost of building an archer plus the gold cost of upgrading it is cheaper than just straight up building a crossbowman. And you might be thinking, like, how do you make that calculation? And the way you do that is you have to put a numerical value on gold versus production. So I consider gold to be, in production, to be about a 1:2 or a 1:2.5 ratio. The reason being, so let's say this builder costs 60, right? I could buy it for 240, so that's 6, 12, 18, 24. So for a civilian unit, the gold cost is 4 times as much. For a building, the cost is 4 times as much for gold versus production. For a unit, it's actually less. So a swordsman is 60. Oh no, excuse me, it's the same. I'm sorry. So yeah, this is what I thought. I confused myself a little bit earlier here. But yeah, so generally speaking, the gold cost is 4 times as much. So you might think, hey, gold is worth 1/4 as much as production. Well, here's the thing about gold versus production is gold has the power of flexibility. And there's also things that you can only purchase with gold. For example, only gold can be used for maintenance, which is really important. Gold can be used for patronaging, which isn't super important, but gold can be used for trade deals. Gold can be used to buy tiles, etc., etc. Gold can be used to switch your policies, stuff like that. But it's mostly the flexibility. And that especially has to do with big cities feeding small cities. So if my capital is very powerful, and it's getting me trade routes, it's got a commercial hub, it's getting me a lot of gold, I can use that to found a new city, a weak little city, and buy a granary. I can buy a monument. I can buy a builder and put it there, right? The flexibility of gold makes it much better than a 1:4 ratio. So I used to say that 3 gold was equal to 1 production, and now I think it's even better. I think it's possibly about 2.5 gold is equal to 1 production. But let's just say 3 gold is equal to 1 production. Okay, that's fairly obvious. It's not quite a 1:4, which is the actual cost ratio for buying things, but gold has flexibility, so gold is a little bit better, right? So long story short, 3 gold is equal to 1 production. So 60 production to build the archer, plus 125 gold to upgrade the archer, divided by 3 is what? 40-ish? A little more than 40 production. The equivalent of 40 production to upgrade. So 60 production to build, plus 40 production to upgrade is 100 production to build and upgrade. And then it's 180 production to just build the crossbowman straight up. So it's almost twice as expensive if you're using my values to build the crossbowman straight up rather than to upgrade it. So that's the first reason. Now there are wrinkles here. For example, production is affected by boosts here, the way gold isn't, like, except with the exception of like Merchant Republic making gold cost cheaper or something like that. But anyway, but generally speaking, that does hold true. So it's much cheaper to build old units and upgrade them than it is to just build the new units. And the second thing here is maintenance costs. And so when you're building an army, you don't just build one unit and attack and then build another and then send it with. You want to build a bunch and then attack, right? So you're going to have them sitting around for a little while before you attack, like this. Like I'm about to go to war, but these were waiting here. And the old units have lower maintenance costs than newer units. So, and a maintenance cost is gold you pay per turn just to have the unit. The unit needs to be paid each turn to exist. And so a chariot is only 1 gold per turn maintenance. Whereas a knight, which I'm about to upgrade it into, is a 3 gold per turn maintenance. So, as long as these units are sitting here, they're costing me money, right? But if they're old units, they're costing me much less. And in fact, if I run conscription, -1 maintenance per turn, they're costing me no gold at all. The same principle applies to archers versus crossbowmen. Archers are 1 gold per turn, crossbowmen are 3. So that's another reason to build up old units and then upgrade them later, or when you're about to attack. The last reason, and this is interesting, right, is that typically in most games, your science to culture is going to be at about a 3-to-2 ratio, but often your science will get a little bit ahead, depending on how you're playing. But even if they're about equal, right, the knight is a medieval, or a crossbowman is probably a better example. Let me see here. Like the knight. Now let's just use knights. I mean, the knights here. I'm spilling over my babbling. Hang on. Knights are a late medieval era cavalry unit, right? Well, the boost to building late medieval cavalry units, chivalry, is also late medieval. So if my culture and science are equal, I won't actually get this boost to building knights until I also have the knight ready. So if I want to upgrade into knights, but I'd rather, like I said, I'd rather upgrade into knights. So what I can do is I can spam heavy chariots using this old policy, right? I can spam heavy chariots using maneuver. So I can get a massive production bonus to the chariots themselves very, very early on. So I can crap out a ton of chariots here, right? And then upgrade them later. And very often your science will be ahead of your culture, especially if you're going military focus. If you're going military focus, you don't want to be building theater squares. So your science is going to be a little bit ahead, right? And so it'll take forever for like in this case, this is true in my game, right? Yes, I have knights ready, but I'm nowhere near monarchy. I am like 25 turns away from monarchy, right? So that's no good. Anyway, the point being, those 3 reasons I just listed are all reasons that it's better to build an early army and then upgrade it later. And this especially becomes relevant once you have mercenaries, because you get 50% discount on all unit upgrades, which is a huge, huge, huge gold saving that you should always do once you have this tech unlocked. I'm debating on whether I want to upgrade right now and blow a bunch of gold. I probably shouldn't, but I'm really eager to get this war underway before Montezuma just snowballs way the hell out of control with his giant science, but that's a decision I'll make on my own. Anyway, that about wraps it up for this check-in here. I know it's a little long-winded, but there's a lot to cover. I talked about Australia specifically earlier. I talked about some other things relevant to this game, and that's going to be it here. So I'll check in again a little bit later when I think it's a good time to continue talking about Australia and how I've been using them here. And so yeah, that's it. So thanks for watching. If you learned something, hit like. I would appreciate that a lot. But yeah, anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video.